In 2023, a billionaire paid $10,000 to have his brain preserved so it could be uploaded to a computer. This is about the secret purchases billionaires make that you can't even Google, and what I'm about to show you sounds like science fiction, but it's completely real. Look at this, a $31 million T-Rex skeleton sitting in someone's living room, not in a museum, just casually displayed like a coffee table in a billionaire's house. There's a hidden economy where billionaires buy things so exclusive that most people don't even know they exist. Private auctions that need invitations just to attend purchases that happen in underground vaults, and prices that'll make your head spin. William Koch, an 85-year-old billionaire, just sold $15 million worth of wine from his collection, 750 bottles in huge formats from his cellars in Palm Beach, Cape Cod, and Aspen. But here's what nobody tells you. This is just one of his collections, and he's been buying wine since the 1960s. The ultra-wealthy spent $290 billion on luxury goods last year, with $129 billion going to cars, jets, and yachts alone. But that's only what we can see. The real insane purchases happen in secret, deep underground in private vaults where you need an invitation just to know they exist. Wait, did I say invitation? I was wrong. It's way more exclusive than that. Christie's made $2.4 billion in private sales last year, and in February 2023, they sold a Mark Rothko painting to hedge fund billionaire Ken Griffin for over $100 million in a completely private sale. Most people never even knew it was for sale. $100 million for a painting, and the transaction happened completely off the record. Andrew Lokanoth, a financial expert who worked in private wealth management with two billionaires, said this: "Their purchases are astonishing, like a wild experience from an alternate reality, and the truly outrageous acquisitions take place behind closed doors within private vaults or deep underground, and we might never uncover half of these transactions. So what are they actually buying? Dinosaur skeletons, complete ones. One of Lokanoth's clients spent $31 million on a T-Rex skeleton and displays it in his living room, not in a museum, in his house like it's a coffee table. These auctions are invite-only, and many deals happen off the radar, brokered through private dealers with global reach. You can't just Google buy T-Rex skeleton and expect results. This is a whole underground market most people don't even know exists. But here the story changes completely, because some billionaires aren't buying things at all. They're buying land, massive amounts of it. John Malone, former CEO of Telecommunications Inc., owns 2.2 million acres of land across the United States, making him the biggest private landowner in America. Not Bill Gates, John Malone. To put that in perspective, that's bigger than the entire state of Delaware, and most people have never even heard his name. Meanwhile, Larry Page, Google co-founder, has been quietly buying islands, not one, not two, but at least 5 private islands scattered across the Caribbean and South Pacific. In 2018, he bought Cayo Norte in Puerto Rico for $32 million. And that was just one of his islands. He also owns the Lolic Islands 12 miles away, Eustatia Island in the British Virgin Islands, and a majority share of Tavarua Island in Fiji. The guy literally has islands scattered across the entire planet. But wait until you hear what else they're buying. Concierge services, but not the hotel kind, private ones that cost $75,000 a year. These companies will do anything as long as it's legal. They've organized private concerts with Andrea Bocelli, one-on-one meetings with the Pope, and they've sourced one-of-a-kind Cartier jewelry that doesn't exist anywhere else. And here's the absurd part. They'll hire someone whose only job is to wake up early at a busy resort and put a towel on a sun lounger so you get the best spot by the pool. That's their entire job, sun lounger minder. One concierge company called Knightsbridge Circle only serves 120 members, with an annual fee of $50,000 plus an initiation fee, and their motto is, "We're 2 phone calls away from sourcing anything anywhere in the world." Recently, they were asked to find a missing pet iguana for a client in LA, and they found it. But the craziest request? A client forgot their beach clothes in London during Christmas while heading to the Maldives, and traditional shipping would take a week, so the concierge service hand-delivered the clothes from England to the Maldives during the holidays. You can't Google that kind of service. You have to already be rich enough to know it exists. And we're just getting started because some billionaires are trying to buy something no amount of money has ever purchased: immortality. Peter Thiel, billionaire venture capitalist, said this in 2012. There are all these people who say that death is natural, it's just part of life, and I think that nothing can be further from the truth. He's a member of Alcor Life Extension Foundation, which charges $80,000 to preserve your brain and $200,000 for whole-body cryonic preservation. The idea is to freeze your body after death and hope future scientists can bring you back to life. Sam Altman, former president of Y Combinator, signed up with a company called Nectome that charges $10,000 to preserve your brain using high-tech embalming in hopes that future tech will scan your brain and upload it to a computer simulation. Altman literally said, "I assume my brain will be uploaded to the cloud." Think about that. Billionaires are paying to have their brains turned into computer files. But there's one detail that nobody noticed at the time. While some billionaires are trying to live forever, others are spending money on things you'd never imagine, like bespoke cars, not luxury cars, custom-built ones designed from scratch. The global bespoke automotive market hit $4.5 billion in 2024, with brands like Rolls-Royce, Bugatti and Ferrari now offering programs where you work directly with designers to create a car that's completely unique, starting at $400,000. One anonymous billionaire commissioned the Bugatti La Voiture Noire for $19 million. It's one of a kind with a carbon fiber body and a quad-turbocharged W16 engine, and you'll never see another one like it ever. See, all these purchases have one thing in common: they're designed to be invisible to regular people. Quiet wealth, private deals, no publicity, just pure secret luxury. Hannah Westaway, managing director of Knightsbridge Circle, said their members tend to be worth upwards of £100 million, but she added, "I wouldn't say that they're flashy." That's the point. The ultra-rich don't want you to know what they're buying. And everything I just told you represents only 21% of all luxury good expenditures by individuals in 2024. The ultra-wealthy make up just 1% of the world's millionaires, but their spending is proportionally massive, with their cumulative wealth totaling nearly $60 trillion. That's 1/3 of the wealth held by all millionaires combined. So if you're wondering why you can't Google most of these purchases, now you know. They're not meant to be found. And in Block 2, I'm going to show you the purchases that are even more insane, the ones that don't just buy things. They buy experiences. They buy access. They buy things that aren't even legal in most countries. Things so exclusive that even other billionaires don't know they exist. You're not going to believe what comes next. Here's where things get really crazy. In 2021, Virgin Galactic reopened ticket sales for space tourism, with prices starting at $450,000 per seat for a 90-minute flight to the edge of space. But that's not even the most expensive part. 600 people already reserved seats at the original price of $250,000 back before they stopped selling tickets in 2014, and celebrities like Tom Hanks, Leonardo DiCaprio and Justin Bieber are all on the list. When Richard Branson successfully completed the test flight in July 2021, consumer interest exploded. And get this, Jeff Bezos is selling Blue Origin tickets for between $200,000 and $300,000, so space tourism has literally become a competition between billionaires to see who can charge regular millionaires the most money to leave the planet. Virgin Galactic now offers 3 options: single seats, friends and family packages, or you can reserve the entire plane. Think about that, you can buy an entire spaceship. But while some billionaires are trying to reach space, others are going in the opposite direction. Underwater, luxury submarines, but not for military use, for yachts. These are small, personal submarines that cost millions of dollars and serve as exclusive accessories for super yachts. Companies like U-Boat Works and Triton build submersibles with plush seating, ambient lighting, and panoramic viewports, so you can dive 150 meters deep in complete luxury while observing exotic marine life from a leather chair. But here's the part nobody tells you. Migaloo, an Austrian company, designed a submersible super yacht, not a submarine attached to a yacht, but a yacht that is a submarine. This thing is absolutely insane. It cruises at 40 knots underwater. That's 74 kilometers per hour while submerged. And the Royal Navy's HMS Astute can only manage 30 knots. It can dive to 1,500 feet and stay there for weeks. Christian Gumpold, founder and CEO of Migaloo, said this thing could cost upwards of $2 billion, and he thinks it'll be the most exclusive and expensive thing a person can own. $2 billion for a submarine yacht, let that sink in, literally. But wait, did I just say $2 billion? I was wrong, because some billionaires are spending even more on something you'd never expect. Doomsday bunkers, not basic survival shelters, but luxury underground fortresses with swimming pools, fine dining restaurants and robotic medical suites. Mark Zuckerberg is building a 5,000 square foot underground bunker on the remote Hawaiian island of Kauai, underneath his 1,400-acre luxury compound, accessible via tunnels from 2 separate mansions. It features living spaces, a mechanical room, an escape hatch, keypad-operated soundproof doors, its own food supplies, water tank and pump system. When you include the land purchase prices, the bunker is set to cost $270 million, $270 million for a bunker. But here the story changes completely, because a Virginia company called Safe just unveiled something even more absurd. A $300 million, members-only luxury doomsday bunker called Airy that's set to open in summer 2026. There are only 625 memberships available, and each one costs $20 million. $20 million just for membership, not even the bunker itself. This isn't your typical survival shelter. Airy offers AI-powered medical care, wellness programs, a lavish swimming pool, and fine dining restaurants, all underground. It's part of a network of similar sanctuaries, catering exclusively to the 1%, and the company that built it previously created a bunker with a Formula One track inside. You can't Google where these bunkers are, because the locations are secret. You have to already be rich enough to get invited. And while this was happening, something impossible was occurring behind the scenes. Bryan Johnson, a 46-year-old tech entrepreneur worth 9 figures, has spent $4 million developing a life extension system called Blueprint. His goal? Don't die, ever. Johnson takes 111 pills every day, wears a baseball cap that shoots red light into his scalp, collects his own stool samples, and sleeps with a tiny jetpack attached to his penis to monitor his nighttime erections. I know it sounds impossible, but it's real. He thinks eating a cookie or getting less than 8 hours of sleep is an act of violence against his body. And he's outsourced every decision involving his body to a team of doctors who use data to develop a strict health regimen. The goal is to get his 46-year-old organs to look and act like 18-year-old organs, and according to his doctors, it's actually working. The data suggests Blueprint has given him the bones of a 30-year-old and the heart of a 37-year-old. Johnson describes his diet and exercise regime as falling somewhere between the Italian Renaissance and the invention of calculus in human achievement, and he's not joking. But the second mistake was much worse. In 2025, Johnson underwent a facial fat transfer procedure using donor fat because he didn't have enough fat on his own body, and his body rejected it. His face swelled up so badly, he became unrecognizable. He's spending $2 million per year trying to reverse aging, $2 million annually, just to try not to die. But there was one detail that nobody noticed at the time. While these tech entrepreneurs are trying to live forever, other billionaires are spending 6-figure salaries on private chefs, not restaurant chefs, but personal chefs who live on their estates. According to the chef agency, live-in private chefs earn between $100,000 and $230,000 annually in the United States, and in the UK, it's £70,000 to £100,000. High-end private yacht chefs earn $8,000 to $12,000 per month, and that doesn't include tips or the tax-free status depending on jurisdiction. One Reddit user who works as a private chef said their employer pays them $85,000 per year to cook 3 meals a day, every day for just 2 people. But here's the absurd part. In the Hamptons, private chef salaries range from $70,000 on the low end to $500,000 on the high end. $500,000 just to cook. And to afford a private chef at that salary level, you need an annual income near $2 million, with a net worth between $10 and $20 million. And that's where we circle back to concierge services, because while regular people are Googling how to hire a private chef, the ultra-wealthy are calling their concierge service, the one that costs $75,000 per year. These services don't just find chefs, they find anything. One client forgot their pet iguana in Los Angeles and the concierge service found it while they were traveling. Another client needed beach clothes delivered from London to the Maldives during Christmas, and traditional shipping would take a week, so the concierge service hand-delivered them. You can't Google that. You have to already be in the club. But what happened next changed everything, because to access these services you need private banking, not regular banking but ultra-high net worth private banking. JP Morgan's private bank has a minimum requirement of $10 million in investable assets. Citi Private Bank? Same thing, $10 million minimum net worth requirement. Bank of America. Private bank requires at least $5 million in combined assets, or over $10 million in investable assets, just to access their alternative investment platform. These banks don't advertise, and you can't just walk in and open an account. You need an introduction. And once you're in, you get access to things regular people don't even know exist. Private art sales worth over $100 million, invitation-only auctions for dinosaur skeletons, off-market real estate deals for entire Hawaiian islands, custom-built Bugatti supercars designed specifically for you, and access to concierge services that will organize private concerts with Andrea Bocelli or one-on-one meetings with the Pope. This is a completely separate economy, and we're still just scratching the surface. The final twist of this block is so absurd, I still can't believe it. All these purchases have one thing in common: they're invisible to regular people. The ultra-rich don't want you to know what they're buying, and that's the entire point. Quiet wealth, private deals, zero publicity. But in Block 3, I'm going to reveal the midpoint crisis, the moment when Jeff Bezos invested $3 billion into something that could change everything. The moment when billionaires realized their money might actually be able to buy the one thing that's always been impossible. And what happened next will blow your mind. Here's the main twist: the moment everything changed. In 2022, Jeff Bezos invested $3 billion into Altos Labs, a startup focused on cellular rejuvenation, with one goal: reverse aging at the cellular level and make death optional. Mark Zuckerberg joined him, so did Peter Thiel. They're all betting billions on anti-aging research. But Elon Musk, the richest person on Earth, said no. Wait, what? Musk thinks life extension is a waste of money. He said that if people don't die, society will be stuck with old ideas and old mindsets that never change. Cultural stagnation. He believes people need to die for society to advance. Think about that. The world's richest man thinks his fellow billionaires are wrong about buying immortality, and he's not alone. Christopher Wareham, a bioethicist at Utrecht University, warned these advances might exacerbate existing inequalities because here's the thing: these treatments cost millions and only billionaires can afford them. So the rich get to live longer, while accumulating more wealth and more political power, while the poor still die. This is the moment when even billionaires realize their wealth couldn't buy them the one thing they wanted most: acceptance that their quest might destroy society. But that was just the start, because what happened next is even more insane. Billionaires didn't stop investing, they doubled down. Altos Labs launched in 2022 with the goal of rejuvenating cells by reversing aging. Retro Biosciences emerged the same year, backed by Y Combinator CEO Sam Altman, with over $180 million, with their mission being to add 10 years to human health span. New Limit, another company, raised $40 million to reprogram the epigenome and reverse aging. Peter Thiel has funneled millions into longevity research through his Founders Fund and Breakout Labs. Paul Allen, Microsoft co-founder, donated $100 million to establish the Allen Institute for Cell Science. These aren't small bets. This is a $30 billion obsession among the ultra-wealthy. But here's the part nobody tells you. While billionaires are spending millions to live forever, They're also spending millions just to stay alive right now through personal security. Not just bodyguards, but armies of protection. In 2023, Meta spent $23.4 million on Mark Zuckerberg's personal security alone, $9.4 million in direct security costs, and another $14 million in additional protection. Tesla spent $10 million on Elon Musk's security. Bill Herzog, CEO of Lionheart Security Services, said continuous 24/7 protection with specially trained guards costs at least $60 per hour, and that's over $1 million per year for just 2 guards, and that's the minimum. But here the story changes completely, because while billionaires are protecting their lives, they're also buying access to exclusive clubs most people don't even know exist. Liberty National Golf Course in Jersey City charges a $500,000 initiation fee, with annual dues of $30,000. The Bears Club in Jupiter, Florida, founded by Jack Nicklaus, charges $350,000 to $500,000 just to join, with annual dues of $20,000 to $30,000. And if you want to play golf there, you might end up side by side with Rory McIlroy, who lives within the club enclave. East Hampton Golf Club has a $400,000 initiation fee, and you need a net worth of $1 million minimum, excluding homes and cars, or earn more than $200,000 per year. Fisher Island Club in Florida goes even further. You can only join if you own a residence on Fisher Island, with an initiation fee of $250,000 and annual dues of $20,000. You can't just Google these clubs and join, you need an invitation. But wait until I tell you what else they're buying. Zero-gravity flights not to space but inside Earth's atmosphere. Zero Gravity Corporation offers the Zero-G experience on a modified Boeing 727-200 called G-Force One, and for $8,900, you get 15 parabolic maneuvers where you experience true weightlessness, but that's for one seat. Want to book half the plane for your friends? $116,000. Want the entire plane? $259,000 for exclusive use of G-Force One with up to 28 seats. Think about that. You can rent an entire weightless flight for $250,000. And while this was happening, something impossible was occurring behind the scenes. Billionaires started buying custom perfumes, not expensive perfumes, but bespoke fragrances created only for them. L'Oréal Paris offers Le Monde sur Mesure, a fragrance line with bottles encrusted with diamonds, rubies, and gold with a starting price of $1.5 million. The most expensive bottle costs $20 million. Each bottle takes more than 35 people up to a year to make, and the scent is completely unique to each client. Either they choose an exclusive creation that will only be used once, or they work with L'Oréal to create a scent completely from scratch. They've sold one bottle so far for $1.5 million to a family in the Middle East who wishes to remain anonymous. $20 million for perfume. But before you can buy one, you must fill out an application form. L'Oréal wants to know who you are and what your impact on the world is, and 25% of proceeds go to charity. You can't just Google, buy $20 million perfume and check out you need to be approved. There was one detail that nobody noticed at the time. Henry Jacques, another legendary perfume house, crafts bespoke fragrances that cost more than $100,000, with each scent created exclusively for one person. These aren't products, they're identity markers, ways for billionaires to literally smell different from everyone else on Earth. And the craziest part? You'll never see these perfumes advertised. But what happened next changed everything, because some billionaires realized they could buy experiences instead of just things. Zero-gravity flights, where you float like an astronaut. Custom perfumes that no one else can ever wear. Country club memberships, where you golf with billionaires and celebrities. Private security armies that cost more than most people earn in a lifetime. Anti-aging treatments that might add decades to their lives. These aren't purchases, they're transformations. Bryan Johnson is spending $2 million per year trying to turn his 46-year-old body into an 18-year-old one. Jeff Bezos is spending $3 billion trying to make death optional. Mark Zuckerberg is spending $270 million on an underground bunker in case society collapses. Larry Ellison bought 98% of a Hawaiian island with 3,000 people living on it for $300 million. John Malone owns 2.2 million acres of American land, more than the state of Delaware. These aren't just rich people buying expensive things. These are people trying to buy permanence, immortality through science, safety through bunkers, legacy through land ownership, identity through custom perfumes, exclusivity through impossible-to-join clubs. And here's the final twist of this block that's so absurd I still can't believe it. Some billionaires are even buying stars, not metaphorically, but literally naming stars after themselves. International Star Registry lets you name a star for as little as $49, but for billionaires it's about buying a place in the cosmos, a permanent marker in the universe that will exist long after they're gone. Think about that. When spending millions on anti-aging research, bunkers, islands and perfume isn't enough, they're buying pieces of the universe. But in Block 4, I'm going to reveal the climax, the most shocking consequence of all this spending, the thing that happened that nobody predicted. And when you hear what it is, you'll understand why billionaires are so desperate to hide what they're buying from the rest of us. You're not going to believe what comes next. Here's the climax, the most shocking consequence nobody predicted. In the first half of 2025, the ultra-wealthy class grew 5.4%, and their collective net worth rose 6.7%. They now number 510,810 individuals worldwide, and their combined wealth? $59.8 trillion. That's nearly 1/3 of all wealth held by millionaires combined, and they make up just 1% of the global millionaire population. And in 2024 alone, they spent $290 billion on luxury goods and services. Think about that. $290 billion in 1 year on things most people can't even Google. But here's where it gets insane. In 2024, the world's billionaires got $2 trillion richer. That's $5.7 billion per day. Their fortunes increased 3 times faster than in 2023, and nearly 4 new billionaires were minted every week. Meanwhile, the number of people experiencing poverty remained unchanged from 1990. Wait, what? At current rates, the world will see 5 trillionaires within the next decade. 5 trillionaires while poverty stays the same. This is the moment, the impossible outcome, because about 60% of billionaire wealth comes from one of 3 sources: inheritance, cronyism and corruption, or monopoly power. Most billionaire wealth isn't earned, it's taken. Jeff Bezos built the Amazon empire, and Amazon accounts for 80% or more of online purchases in Germany, France, the UK and Spain. 18% of the world's billionaire wealth comes from monopoly power, and inheritance transfers aren't taxed, depriving governments of critical resources to fund schools, healthcare and housing. But that's not even the most dramatic part. The top 10% of earners now account for nearly half of all US consumer spending, and that's up 14 points over the last 30 years. Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics, said the wealthiest are spending more per capita than everyone else, buoyed by gains in the stock market and real estate. The wealth effect is making the richest of the rich feel even richer, and corporations are profiting off this. Credit card companies offer increasingly expensive annual memberships, airlines cater to wealthier travelers, and the ultra-wealthy accounted for over 20% of consumer spending on luxury goods in 2024. The general luxury consumer base is declining after a decade of growth, and the ultra-wealthy are now increasingly critical to luxury brands' quest for growth. This is the turning point, because luxury brands are often insulated in economic slowdowns, since most of their sales come from the super-wealthy. Rita B., managing director of Agility and Strategy, which focuses on affluent consumers, said the disposable income for most high-net-worth individuals has risen, and high-net-worth consumers feel less guilt about spending during economic slowdowns because they believe they are entitled to enjoy their wealth. Luxury brands rely on the top 20% of their clientele for the bulk of their revenue, and since this group is more resilient to inflation and economic downturns, luxury companies feel the impact of slowdowns last. Not immune, but exceedingly resilient. Think about what this means. The so-called rich session isn't happening. The rich are actually richer and spending more than they were before the pandemic. High-income households have over $1 trillion sitting in savings, and the top 1% are holding on to around 30% of all national wealth. The top 1% hasn't been this wealthy since 1989. They're not pulling back, they're just spending on different things. Not Rolex watches, but $2,000 Taylor Swift tickets, private jets instead of yachts, experiences instead of goods. And here's the final revelation, the one that brings everything together. To charter a private jet regularly, you need $2 million in net income and $20 million in net worth. To own a private jet, starting at $3 million for a light jet, up to $75 million for an ultra-long-range jet like a G700. Annual operating costs, $700,000 to $4 million per year. One billionaire named Oscar said his family jet cost $49 million to buy, with operating costs of $15,000 per hour. But unless you're flying 300+ hours per year and earning around $5 million to $20 million annually, chartering or fractional ownership is more practical. These aren't just purchases, they're lifestyles completely separate from ordinary reality. Private clubs where membership isn't granted on financial status alone, you need a personal referral from an existing member, a rigorous vetting process with background checks, and a massive financial commitment with initiation fees reaching 6 figures and annual dues in the tens of thousands. The Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, the Cultivist, secret societies where billionaires discuss investments, political influence, and cultural trends behind closed doors. A single meeting at a private club could lead to multi-billion-dollar business deals, policy decisions, or cultural shifts. And you can't Google how to join, you need to already be in the club. This is the consequence nobody predicted. The share of the US wealth pie owned by the top 0.1% grew 59.6% from 1989 to 2024. Billionaire wealth concentration is worse than you imagine. Christopher Wareham, bioethicist at Utrecht University, warned these advances might exacerbate existing inequalities. The rich get to live longer while accumulating more wealth and more political power. Monopoly power is escalating extreme wealth and inequality worldwide. And instead of fostering prosperity, extreme wealth accumulation fuels inequality, destabilizes economies, and undermines democracy. So here's what it all means. Billionaires aren't just buying things you can't Google, they're buying a separate reality. Dinosaur skeletons for $31 million displayed in living rooms, private islands scattered across the planet, $2 billion submarine yachts, $300 million members-only Doomsday bunkers, $4 million life extension systems to reverse aging, $20 million custom perfumes, $75,000 per year concierge services that will do anything legal, $500,000 country club initiation fees, $49 million private jets with $15,000 per hour operating costs, $3 billion investments in cellular rejuvenation to make death optional, $270 million underground bunkers in Hawaii, and $59.8 trillion in combined wealth held by just over 500,000 people. The ultra-wealthy spent $290 billion on luxury goods last year. That's equivalent to 1% of US GDP. And the wealth gap is growing faster than ever. This isn't just about rich people buying expensive things. This is about a class of people who exist in a completely different economic universe, where purchases happen in private vaults, where auctions require invitations, where services cost more than most people earn in a lifetime, where concierge companies will hand-deliver beach clothes from London to the Maldives during Christmas, where you can book an entire zero-gravity flight for $250,000, where you can buy 98% of a Hawaiian island with 3,000 people living on it. And the craziest part? We only uncovered half of these transactions. Andrew Lokenoth said it best. The truly outrageous acquisitions take place behind closed doors, within private vaults or deep underground, and we might never uncover half of these transactions. So the next time someone tells you money can't buy happiness, remember this. It can buy immortality research, private islands, underground bunkers, custom perfumes, dinosaur skeletons, and access to a secret world most people don't even know exists. And that world is growing faster and more exclusive every single day.